Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sports Breakdown. So yesterday you checked out the live watch along. Please watch that of Sri Lanka versus West Indies. Great win for Sri Lanka, winning by 20 runs. We brought in Aman here as well. We'll do a short video because yesterday we went so long for that video for the
Hazelwood.
live watch along of Sri Lanka and West Indies.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
do the post-match analysis of Australia versus Bangladesh first because we didn't cover that much.
cover
So
that.
as you can see, Australia beat Bangladesh by 8 wickets, and the star obviously is Adam Zampa, 5 for 19. Yeah, Aman, talk again. Bangladesh collapse once again.
Yes,
Same with South Africa. Are
yeah,
they
they
missing
have.
Shakib a lot?
I didn't hear the last bit. Are they missing?
Shakib Al
Shaki,
Hassan.
that's it, yeah. Probably because they're not doing well at all. They have had way too many batting collapses. I think that's a huge thing. There's way too many batting collapses, and they must be so disappointed as Bangladesh because they actually had a bit. They had a good chance. Like they could have beat teams. They could have beat like West Indies, which is a very nice and tight match, and
Hmm.
they definitely could have beaten us. But because of the batting really collapsed this whole thing. I think that they could have done better. And yes, they are missing
Yeah.
Shaki very badly.
Hmm. And I also want to bring out this question: why is Bangladesh struggling in UAE conditions when batting first? I mean, generally, I think in Sri Lanka they scored 170, but against South Africa and I know those both were day games, so that was a disadvantage for Bangladesh compared to the other teams. The games against South Africa and Australia were day games in Abu Dhabi, so that could be a factor. But still, I mean, because Mahmudullah also said in the statement that it's a good batting track and it's obviously 160, 165. But them collapsing for 73 and no one's responding, they were doing so well in Bangladesh pitches where it was so bad. And I think
Yeah.
ICC needs to really check those pitches in Bangladesh because it didn't suit. I mean, even good teams like New Zealand and Australia struggle, they're B teams. So, thoughts on that?
They
Why is
should.
Bangladesh struggling right now so badly?
Yeah, as you said, ICC should definitely go and check those Bangladesh pitches because how they were actually doing so well in Bangladesh. They were beating like Australia and those huge teams, and now they've come and they're struggling here in the UAE. So yes, what do you think there's different in the Bangladesh pitches? Suspicious question.
I think it's dead pitch. I think it's too dry over there. It's really tough because no moisture whatsoever in those pitches. It's really dry over there. The climate, especially in Bangladesh, is really really dry. So especially in Mirpur, Dhaka, those pitches, I think the curators aren't doing a good job. They are not what I mean. Usually in the pitches, the pitch when you talk about the pitch, it should be flat and it should be sort of it should have some sort of green I mean grass also in that those pitches, but I didn't see that when they were playing against Australia and New Zealand. It was completely dry, the pitch, and no moisture whatsoever, and especially batsmen found it very difficult in those pitches, and it favored bowlers, especially spinners. When it gets dry, the track gets dry and it's dead. It's a dead pitch. It favors spinners obviously. So
Mm.
that was a advantage for Bangladesh at home. They took their advantage because their strength is spin, and whereas the other teams they struggle because they struggle against spin, especially Australia and New Zealand. But the thing with Australia was they didn't have the key players like Warner, Finch, Maxwell, Stoinis. So you cannot compare that team that Matthew Wade led to this team currently that Australia having, because they didn't even have I think Adam Zampa was playing, but there were key batsmen, and I think even Cummins wasn't playing. Yeah, so there were key players who were left out for Australia in that series, and same goes to New
Mm-hmm.
Zealand as well.
That's true, but that's not the only thing. It's also that Bangladesh actually perform well, no? So only that they perform badly, right? Bangladesh actually perform well, and that's where the suspicious comes in,
Yeah,
Where
that's true. I think they
that's
miss Shakib
that's
a lot.
it just gets very confusing. Yes, he's
Yeah, I think
yeah.
Shakib's absence in this team, I think there's a bit of issue. I think they depend
Pound,
a
I
lot
can
on
only
Shakib. That's the issue.
yeah, Pound, I can only stay for 5 minutes, but yeah,
Yeah, sure. I can cover the rest. Yeah, but
yeah.
how good was Adam Zampa?
And
You,
yeah,
it's
yeah, he's
obviously
had
your
a
favorite
brilliant
spinner,
yeah.
one of your favorite spinners. You told me that he has to be in this squad
Yes,
for sure for
yes.
Australia. No Swipson, no, so he's taken that number one spot over here as a spinner. But yeah, how good was Adam Zampa yesterday? 5 for 19, 4 overs as a spinner. to analyze Adam Zampa. How was he yesterday?
Absolutely brilliant, and he's a bit like one Hindu. He bowls his googly very very oftenly. He's
Mm,
one of those bowlers that
yeah,
only bowls his stock ball like only three and over. And yeah, so impressive. He's got 10 wickets in this World Cup so far. So very very impressive from him. And of course, before we move on, congratulations Wanindu for picking up the 16th wicket and having the most wickets now in one World Cup.
yeah. We have to talk about that also after this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
probably missed that, but
okay, yeah.
yeah,
So thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, but Mitchell Stark and Josh Hazelwood also contributing. But Adam Zampa close to a hat trick. I think Wade dropped the
absolutely
catch.
amazing. Yeah,
Matthew
yeah.
Wade
It's
dropped the
it's
catch
it's the
for hat trick.
I can tell you it's the worst feeling. Once I was on a hat trick and the catch was dropped, and it is the worst feeling ever. It's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, very true. I just sent the link over. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. But
I feel
Maxwell also
like
has been. Yeah.
a lot of catches that get dropped are on hat trick balls, and I think that's because the batsman get the fielder gets very very excited. Like I'm going to catch a hat trick like that. They
Hmm.
get too
Very true.
excited when that
Hmm.
happens.
Very true. But talking once again about Bangladesh, nothing. Mahmudullah, Shamim Hussain, no response whatsoever from Bangladesh. Really, really
Mm-hmm.
poor, and they're always shifting the batting order. No sort of response. Very worrying.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bangladesh have to play a qualifiers next year again, along with the West Indies,
Yeah, they are
being ranked in
definitely.
10th, coming out. Yeah, ranked. Yeah.
Wait, what? So we're not going to play qualifiers
Yeah, no, because we beat West Indies yes, it was a must win, so we won that. So then we get automatic qualification for next year because we are going in the
next
top
year?
eight. Yeah,
So we'll
in
wait till
Australia.
2025 then.
No, 2022,
2025.
2020 World Cup. No, next year, the 2020 World Cup in Australia.
Ah, in
Next year.
Australia. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
yeah,
yes. How did I forget?
yes. We have
Uh,
another 2020 World Cup next year as well.
yeah, because it was postponed, no? Yes, yes,
Yes,
now I remember. Yeah.
yeah. But no Bangladesh, no nothing much to talk about this Bangladesh batsman
Yeah,
except for
just
this
terrible.
Josh Hazelwood has been really good. Maxwell 1 for 6, Josh Hazelwood 2 for 8. No, I don't know, but no, I mean no Bangladesh batsman
No,
even cleared.
yeah.
I mean attack these two,
Exactly.
especially Maxwell, who's a part-time spinner. Now he's doing a great job for Australia. So big concerns right now
Mm,
for Bangladesh right now. If they can't respond, I don't know what to say. But talking about Australia's
yeah.
target, Aaron Finch, a good opening partnership. I think
Yeah.
they were 58 for one. I think after 5 overs. So talk about the
And
Aaron
yeah,
Finch's batting. That response, that 74 response. Yeah.
yeah, of course it was going to be such an easy score to chase, and I guess they just tried to attack and be aggressive because they knew this is going to be easy chase, and even if I get out, this game is not going to be over. So then he went attacking, and he thought that he was going to get out playing like a shot like that, but he actually kept going, and that's very impressive. And he actually got bowled. But
Hmm.
still,
Yeah.
brilliant from Aaron Finch. He tried to play aggressive without knowing that he was going to get like 40. Thought he was going to get out for like 20 playing an aggressive shot. But yeah, brilliant.
Now, for Australia coming up, they have a match against West Indies. Would you want to
West.
change this order right now for Australia? Or, would you make any changes because both
I would
Mitchell Marsh
actually
and
keep.
Steve Smith
I would
play the
Steve.
same anchor role, right? So,
I
would
would
you
maybe.
make?
Yeah, I would maybe put Maxwell at 5 and Smith at 4. That's the only change I would want to make.
Hmm. Otherwise, it's settled for you, right? Same 11,
Yeah,
playing 11.
same thing. Yeah, same 11. Just to
Anyways, yeah.
switch in the orders.
Anyways, three bowlers have bowled for Bangladesh. Nothing much to analyze on that easy target for Australia to chase. They easily chased it. Quickly go through the statistics before we go through the table. Obviously, you can
Yeah,
see here
I have to
Finch
go now, Pawan.
dominating.
I have to go
Okay,
now.
sure. Okay, bye. See
Yeah,
you.
thanks
See
for
you.
having me. I was going to say, Pawan, you were so right about bowling Binura instead of Kumara. What would have happened? We would have had a brilliant World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
bye.
you cannot say that because Vinura was a bit expensive yesterday, but you cannot say that yet for just one match that Binura was
True.
very effective. You cannot still judge on that.
True.
Yeah, but
That's
he
also
was good
true. Yeah.
yesterday. He did get
Yeah.
Kevin Lewis out, which is a important wicket, but just
Yeah.
can't judge on one match. It's a bit
Yeah.
difficult. We have to see
Mm.
consistently how Binura does
Yeah.
to judge.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. See you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, so I'll
Yeah.
analyze on this. So mainly he played on the off side, leg side, and on the off side. And fine mid on, he didn't play any runs. But as you can see, most of the runs coming, he was fantastic yesterday. Most runs on the mid off and on the mid wicket, scoring runs, 22 runs. Not Adam Zampa, outstanding. Four wickets of left-handers, full length, short, good length. I don't know what Bangladesh were really doing yesterday. I have no clue what Bangladesh were up to, because struggling against Adam Zampa, he bowled even short deliveries and Bangladeshi batsmen going trying to attempt sixes. I don't understand what Bangladesh were really doing yesterday. I have exactly no clue. Adam Zampa was simply good yesterday, nearly got a hat trick, but unfortunately he couldn't. But yeah, 5 for 19, outstanding. Josh Hazelwood, 2 for 8, 2 overs, brilliant. Only left-handers he bowled to, but still got wickets. Nothing much to speak about this match. Obviously, Adam Finch, David Warner, crucial 58-run partnership, easy win for Australia. Simply thrash Bangladesh. Bangladesh, for me, they have several areas to improve. First of all, fix their pitches in Mirpur, Chittagong, Dhaka. They need to check on those pitches, make it pitch friendly conditions for both the teams, overseas teams and their teams, without making it home advantage for their team, because obviously it's easy for their Bangladesh to win. You saw that against Australia and New Zealand. That was the biggest mistake that Bangladesh did, to make the pitches so dry, make it spin friendly. Then fast bowlers will struggle, the spinners will do very well. Now we saw what the result happened in UAE. The spinners struggled, the fast bowlers did well. So that's what I'm saying. So just not making spin friendly cracks will fix the solution for Bangladesh. They need to immediately sort this out in their home country. And obviously Shakib's loss is another big miss. Several areas for them to fix, and Tamim Iqbal should come back to this Bangladesh 2020 squad. I don't think Litan Das is a good solution for Bangladesh right now. They can go with two left-handers, with Mohammad Naim and Tamim Iqbal. I think they are suitable openers. Litan Das should bat in the middle order, in my opinion. He can bat at number 4. Bowlers wise, Shoriful Islam impressed me. Tuskin was a bit expensive. He needs to improve a bit. Rubal Hussain, he's a very experienced bowler. I don't know why he was not even played a single match for Bangladesh. He could have been useful at certain situations with his experience. So Bangladesh had to fix a lot. And Mahmudullah as captain, um, I was okay with him. I mean, they lost to Scotland by 6-1. Certain tactics and decisions that he made were wrong, I would say, with Mahmudullah. He needs to improve a bit as a captain. And especially having Musfiqur Rahim, Shakib Al Hassan, Tamim Iqbal on his side, he can improve as a leader. So that's what I would like to see from Mahmudullah. They can progress in this side. Yeah, that's it I can say right now. Let's go to the points table. Bangladesh have a lot to fix. They have a lot to sort out after the 2020 World Cup. And we expected this to happen to Bangladesh. So right now, I think Australia favorites, I think, along with England to qualify for the semi-finals, see the net run rate 1.031. Unless Australia loses to West Indies. I don't see that happening right now with how West Indies even lost to Sri Lanka. I really don't see Australia losing to West Indies. But you never know. It's 2020 cricket is a funny game. England, I think definitely they are going through. South Africa, meanwhile, have to beat England. They must beat England to qualify. I think for sure, because the net run rate won't be enough. So that's a crucial game for South Africa to win. England are already qualified, I think. Australia, meanwhile, have to beat West Indies if they want to qualify. So interesting things happening. Both have lost one game. South Africa can't afford to lose against Australia. So it's very tight, very interesting. Group 1 is really, really interesting right now. With the net run rate, I think England will go through even if they lose to South Africa, unless South Africa beats England very convincingly and thrash them. Unless that, I don't think their net run rate will drop that much. If it drops also, it will drop to 1 point or something. So still they go through. So South Africa have to win. Must win for them. Yeah. Let's go through the next match. Nothing much to talk about Australia and Bangladesh that much. So let's go through Sri Lanka versus West Indies. This also I won't analyze that much because I did a live watch along. We discussed about the stats. We'll just do a short post match analysis on this. Obviously, Sri Lanka beat West Indies by 20 runs, and Charit Asalanka was announced the man of the match. Brilliant start from Patum Nissanka and KJP. 42-run partnership. Athletic catch from Russell to get KJP out. Brilliant catch. Russell dived down. His reflexes were brilliant to get KJP out at a crucial stage because Sri Lanka were flying. They had a flying start, Sri Lanka yesterday. We have a comment here. Rohan here says, as England have qualified, will they experiment versus South Africa? Will that with that side? Rohan will discuss about this tomorrow. I'm doing a preview on England versus South Africa, so we'll discuss on that. And I'm doing a lot watch along of England versus South Africa, so we'll discuss that more. Let's focus on this match and then today's matches as well because I'm not doing a watch along. We'll focus on that games specifically England versus South Africa tomorrow. I'm doing a watch along of that also, so I'll put more focus on that match tomorrow because it's very important in Group One. So I'll answer that question later. But if you want a quick response to this, um, as they have qualified, yes, they might experiment one or two. But the issue is Tymal Mills, Mark Wood is injured. I think Mark Wood might come back to the playing 11. But it's better if they go with their same playing 11 for me and not experiment that much because they have to see how they perform in the semifinals and finals. If we go and experiment the team, then the issue is when these players who have been playing before coming back to the side once again for semifinals, then it would be a disadvantage. So I would stick playing it this playing 11 what England have gone through. Just make one or two changes if possible. If there are injury concerns, then make one or two, but not that many. Yeah. So let's go back to, but we'll discuss more of that tomorrow. Yeah, but brilliant innings. Charit Asalanka 68 of 41, 8 fours, 1 6. He's been a revelation. He's been a revelation. I pray and hope Mickey Arthur doesn't leave Sri Lanka right now because I think Mickey Arthur can sort this side out. Just give him time. Just give him 1 year. I think this team will be a revelation for me because Pakistan also it took time for Mickey Arthur to bring that side to number one. We just need patience. Patience is key, and I think this side is very settled right now. We just need to trust this side to move forward because this side can perform. Sri Lanka can perform. Just small mistakes they made against South Africa and England, those were tactic mistakes done by Shanaka. So you can't blame this team that much. It was just small mistakes, and those crucial times, bad luck at times that Sri Lanka didn't take, and that's how they lost. So we just need to stick with this team. Charit Asalanka has been a sensation. Highest run score, I think, in the 2020 World Cup. And Patum Nissanka, both of these two have been performing outstanding. Rasun Shanaka coming at number 4, doing a terrific finish. 29 of 14, 2 fours, 1 6. Brilliant. There's nothing more to say, just absolute world class playing against West Indies, the side who were the defending champions. And great to see this from Sri Lanka. 189 for 3. Nothing much to expect. That was a brilliant score, above par. Good score against West Indies, and that was a great thing. West Indies is a big concern. Big concern right now for West Indies. They have so much to sort out because they'll have to, I think, go through a qualification next year. Dwayne Bravo announced his retirement yesterday. He's announced his international retirement. So happy retirement to Dwayne Bravo. We'll do a separate episode of that later. But happy retirement for Dwayne Bravo as he bids farewell to international cricket. Dwayne Bravo, obviously the most wicket taker um, in West Indies. Sorry, in 2020 cricket. So yeah, very sad. For me also, I like him also. Sorry, Dwayne Bravo. I didn't type his name. Yeah, champion retires from international cricket. Yeah, so sad thing, but what's to be done? He's been a champion. I mean, his bowling, batting, he's done so much for West Indies. Two-time champions, but now I think this team, yeah, yeah, this team needs a change. And let's see his records also. He was very poor yesterday. very expensive. But talk about Dwayne Bravo, his stats are 511 matches. I think after Pollard, most amount of 2020 matches. See the bowling, 2020 90 matches, 78 wickets, 25.54 average, economy 8.110, best bowling figures 4 for 90. 2020 with franchise cricket 511 matches, 553 wickets. That's the most highest ever wicket taker by a bowler in 2020 cricket. So 551 wickets, average 24.35, economy 8.21. 11 4 wicket hauls, 2 5 wicket hauls. In 2020, only 3 wicket hauls. 4 wicket hauls. ODI also played 164 matches, 199 wickets, average 29.51. Runs also. See, as an all rounder, 1,246 runs, average 22.23, highest score 66. 23 6,617, 511 matches, average 23.563. Yeah, and ODI also scored 2,968, has scored 2 centuries, highest score 112. Even Test he has scored 300s, ODIs he has scored 200s, average 25 in ODI and Test 31.42. So happy retirement from Dwayne Bravo. Just wanted to remind, yeah, from the sports breakdown, we congratulate Dwayne Bravo's achievements as a player for West Indies. He's achieved so much for West Indies. So he bids farewell. In international cricket. Let's move on. I just want to make this short, so I'll make it quick because we have to talk about the previews. Andre Russell was the only bowler that impressed me yesterday. 2 for 33 of 4 overs. He did a great job getting KJP and Asalanka out, but the rest of the bowlers were poor, and I don't understand why Chase, if he's included in the side, only bowling 1 over, which is not ideal. And Akil Hussain only bowling 2 overs. Then bring in a Hayden Walsh Jr. if these two spinners are just bowling 3 overs, and the fast bowlers are bowling the most of the overs in Abu Dhabi. There is nothing much to say. This team is not balanced. Because if you are just bringing Roston Chase to bat, then bringing Akil Hussain only giving 2 overs, then bring a Hayden Walsh Jr. He can make impact. He was doing so well in West Indies conditions. Put him in the playing 15 squad for West Indies, and he doesn't get a game. Then what's the point of bringing him? Hayden Walsh Jr. He's a very key player for West Indies, a future. Just give him chances. That's what I'm saying. This West Indies board, they need their selection is not good at times, and I'm not happy with how the let's see the West Indies squad for a second, because this is alarming for me right now. Defending champions, they are not making crucial decisions, and this is what happens. They pay the price. Where was Andre Fletcher? Where was Andre Fletcher in this tournament? Where is this guy? Hayden Walsh. Everyone was speaking about this guy. Hayden Walsh Jr. going to make a big impact in the 2020 World Cup. I thought he's going to get one of the highest wicket takers. He is the bowler you have to go to. Hayden Walsh Jr. is a must. I don't get what West Indies were thinking about. I really don't know what West Indies were thinking about with this guy. Because see, he's 2020 15.55 28 wickets in 27 matches. I don't think these rest of the bowlers even have that. Akil Hussain even has that. They missed Fabian Allen badly. They didn't utilize with Hayden Walsh when he was included in the playing 15. What happened? Very, very poor decisions. Very, very poor decisions from the West Indies selectors. I'm really, really surprised this guy didn't play for the 20 World Cup. Please. I think I've woken up from a dream. This guy had to play in the 2020 World Cup. No matter what. I don't get it. I don't get it. I think he only played 3 matches. 3 matches. Okay. 2 for 41. Okay. That's okay. I think he only played one, if I'm not mistaken. He is 0 for 26 against South Africa. Afghanistan 1 for 24. I think that was a warm up match. Okay, so he's only played one, if I'm not mistaken. One match. With one match, how can you judge on a player? That's what I'm saying. Very unfortunate over here. I don't get about this West Indies squad. And the senior players, Pollard, Russell, Gale flopped. Simple as that. Actually, Andre Russell was okay. Andre Russell was okay for me. Pollard, DJ Bravo, Chris Gale, horrible, horrible form. And with that form, I don't think they can. This team can go far. So good decision from DJ Bravo to retire, because at the end, I think you have to give to the youngsters also a chance. Now it's enough of experience, because two-time champions, at times it happens to any team. Just like what happened to CSK last year, same thing happened to West Indies with the experience. We know West Indies is a very, very experienced team. All said they can win the 2020 World Cup, but we saw what happened this year with West Indies. So I think certain players need to be dropped. If they can't perform, they need to be dropped. Simple as that. Chris Gale, it's time up. I'm sad. I'm sad to say, Universe boss, but they're not utilizing him properly, and he's struggling. See again, one Vinura Fernando, brilliant wicket, brilliant to get him out early, that early. Chris Gale has really, really struggled in this 2020 World Cup after taking a break from IPL. There's nothing much to say. Bhaskar sir is here, yeah. Yeah, Bhaskar sir, I'm keeping this short. So yeah, we are quickly analyzing on Sri Lanka and West Indies. I was just
Yeah.
discussing about the experience of these West Indies players, because I'm telling that Chris Gale, Andre Russell, Dwayne Bravo, even Kyron Pollard, they didn't perform up to standard. What happened to West Indies after Gale taking a break from IPL? He didn't score that much runs. So I know experience matters, but what happened to this West Indies side during this 2020 World Cup? Because everyone was expecting them to go to the semi-finals at least.
Yeah, I honestly think that they were always not in very good form. So if you look at the series before coming to the World Cup, they were like they lost to South Africa 3-2, and then
Yeah,
with coming in the tournament they beat Australia 4-1. But I think they got their batting lineup wrong. I think the match which really broke them was the match against South Africa. So if they that was the match where London Cement batted very slowly. And this match, I think obviously Sri Lanka played very well in that regard. So I don't think they got their batting lineup in the right manner. They had too many, like Russell hardly actually played in this. He got run out in one match. He came very late. So I don't think their whole setup was there. Good. And the other thing which was there, that I was reading some stats that West Indies had the worst, one of the worst economy rates,
mm,
sorry, strike rates in terms of it. So they were batting slowly, plus did not have wicket takers. So within Sri Lanka, also, they were not taking wicket. And in T20, it's very
mm,
hard to slow down teams in that way. But I would think the batting failed, and that can happen. With India also,
yeah,
a
yeah.
similar thing happened. Gale was always not performing. I think he had like one innings
Yeah, that's
of
what I said.
50 in that way.
Either Andre Fletcher could have come to the side instead of a Chris Gale. He can open along with Evan Lewis, without because Chris Gale, he played at number three, then switched to as a opener. So many issues during the mid tournament. I mean the 2020 World Cup. So, and Chris Gale didn't perform either as opener or number three. So I think it might be time up for Chris Gale, and few good decision from Dwayne Bravo to retire actually. And I think Hayden Walsh Jr. is also a big surprise for not only just playing one match, and you can't just judge him from one match, right? Because he was the spinner leading up to the 2020 World Cup, and he also didn't perform. I mean, he wasn't given a chance to perform.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think I would have played Roston Chase because he was in very good form. CPL, he was the highest scorer, man of the series in that way. So I would have played him and Evan Lewis at the top, and then maybe get over. And they have got Rutherford. They've got a lot of batsmen actually in the West Indies who are quite good. It's just that I think this happens in a lot of subcontinental teams. Also where people just drag and then keep playing. And this happened with West Indies. These players were too big. Bravo, I think, was a decent selection. He did not perform badly. I think Gale was obviously off it, but I think as a combination, they never worked in that way. And then the
Mm,
match against England, I think that is what they dented them, because if you look at the style of cricket which West Indies plays, right, is going very
yeah.
aggressively. But after
Mm,
that collapse, I think because of criticism, they went to the match against South Africa in very defensive manner, And then that is the
Yeah.
match when once they lose, it's there. And with Bangladesh also, they were just very lucky, like they could have lost
Mm,
to Bangladesh also. They have 4 runs, Bangladesh messed it up in the end. So I
mm,
think it happens to in sometimes in teams that you are not your big players don't perform, and then but they always batted these guys very late. Pollard should have been coming at number 4 in my view if you have to give number ball, because they have Russell there. Fabian Allen missing, that also I think
mm.
played a part, because Fabian Allen was the hitter in that way. Holder also playing at number 9, and like you look at the lineup, like Bravo at
You got
10,
shot.
Holder
Yeah,
at
so
9.
much
Yeah, so
news.
on
Yeah,
paper it looks like really good this thing, but which basically means that your top order should go much faster in that way. And Gale was nowhere ever like he scored 1 of 5 in this game. He was going very slowly. I think they just had to, like, Gale became too big to drop. And then obviously I think Ambrose also had said that he did not think Gale deserved a spot in that way. So it's just a legacy
yeah,
thing. It happens to subcontinental teams sometimes. You remember the '99 World Cup where Ranatunga, De Silva all went there, and then
yeah,
they were world champions, and they got eliminated in the first round.
yeah.
I think
True.
that was essentially the case with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's time up. I think Chris Gale is 42. Dwayne Bravo is 37. Andre Russell should remain. Andre Russell and Kyron Pollard maybe, but Gale, I think it should be time up because he's played for so many years. No question about that. But I think he needs to give a chance to a new opener potentially because who Andre Fletcher has been doing well in the CPL for Talavas, and also I think it's better if they can give to him or either Roston Chase now to open this side. And Hetma has been has come back to form, so that's a good news. That's good news also. Lone Warriors along with Puran. I mean, Puran also didn't have a good IPL. Hetma had a good IPL for Delhi Capitals, and talking about his performances, even though he couldn't cross the line for West Indies, um, how impactful was his innings also yesterday for West Indies, coming very close to getting Sri Lanka. I know they were out, obviously. I mean, Sri Lanka were winning, but Hetmaya being the lone warrior and fighting till the end. So, is that good signs for the future for West Indies with Puran and Hetmaya?
Yeah, obviously, I think Poran, Hetmeyer, I think with Fabian Allen and Russell, I think they will be a very strong T20 side going forward in that way. Just they need to kind of get their outlook correct in terms of this thing. I think playing Gale was not and I think this the age thing you talked about. I think 42 is, if you look at Mohammad Hafiz, he's also 42, right? But he does a very specific role for Pakistani team.
Yeah, yeah,
We have seen him
yeah, true.
coming in and first ball hitting for a six. That's the way he plays. So I don't think actually T20 allows older players to thrive. I don't think Bravo and this thing they could not play. But international T20, the problem with international T20 is that most of the time it's not the focus series. It's always off and on. It happens. So and you need to have players who are like tuned
Informed.
in that way. And then also, I think the problem is that with Gale and Bravo and all these guys playing, their fielding also suffers a lot. So I
Hmm.
think, yeah, Gale should. I think he will continue to play for CPL,
Yeah, he can
and
play
maybe
for
some leagues
franchise.
who are
That's
very.
what, but not for West Indies. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Mhm.
It's better for him to play for franchise rather than the national team because there are better players than Gale who are not given an opportunity right now, are performing well in the CPL, and Gale is just taking because he wasn't good in CPL either. I mean, his form for 1 or 2 innings he did okay. And that team did win the CPL, the Trinidad, but Bravo and Gale didn't do that much of a contribution, and they have youngsters like that netball. I can't remember the CPL final. There was this player. I can't remember his name, but those are the ones who can be in the spot. I mean, West Indies spot for the future. I think Rohan knows this player. I can't remember the player of the match in the CPL final. But he
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
netball also for
Drakes,
yeah,
right?
Drakes.
Huh?
Yeah, Drakes.
Drakes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
what. Yeah. So those players, I think, are the few potential futures for West Indies. And Hayden Boss Jr. also was a big surprise. But let's talk about Sri Lanka because I think this side is settled. I mean, talking about their batting also, Asalanka, and because Sri Lanka also were in all sorts of trouble before the 2020 World Cup also because Pathum Nissanka, he wasn't opening in the Sri Lankan side. Dhananjay De Silva was in this side. Then I think they dropped him. They brought Charit Asalanka. He was also not in the side for the warm up. Both of these two have performed well. The ones who were dropped actually for the warm ups against Oman, and I think for the first 3 matches, Nisanka and Asalanka, all of a sudden they are the top two scorers in the 2020 World Cup. So thoughts about
Yeah.
these? both of them, Nissanka and Asalanka.
Yeah, so I think Chandimal were also there before, right, in that squad,
Yeah,
but he
yeah,
did
he
not
was
play,
there.
right?
Mm.
And he and DDS both were. So I was surprised. Actually, kind of like DDS quite a lot because he can play in all the positions, gives you a bowling option in that way. But obviously, these two
Yeah,
guys, Nisanka, Sri Lanka, both against the match against Bangladesh, and this match they came and then they played. Like, and this is, I think, the big difference between teams, right? That like what I like about the Sri Lankan team is that they were going for their runs, right, and they had that from the start. And
yeah,
in this T20 World Cup, we have seen that teams which are successful, they don't get stuck.
mm,
And I think good for Mickey Arthur to give them the license and go and not fear of failure. I think also in a way. In this match, we saw that when the pressure is off for India, they played so well. I think Sri Lanka also they had no pressure. They knew they had to just go and perform. West Indies obviously they had run rates, a lot of mixed bag in that way. And I think West Indies, the problem is that they don't have wicket taking bowlers, right? So
mm,
they don't have a express. If you look at the bowling lineup right now, they don't have express. The West Indies bowling lineup, they don't have a super fast express bowler like Mill or Afridi or this thing. So Ravi Rampal 37. I think Ravi Rampal was the biggest surprise to me because playing in
mm.
CPL in those pitches versus coming and playing in a T20 World Cup, 37-year-old fast bowler is like real impossible. To
Yeah,
play. So that was to
very
me one
strange
thing. And if you look
decision.
at his, yeah, but he was the highest wicket taker in CPL, so I can understand why people would have picked him. But like to me, he is a very similar bowler to Holder, and even Pollard bowls similar.
Mm,
Bravo, they're all
right.
bowling at 135 kind of pace, so they don't have any express way to upset right arm medium. That is the kind of bowling. If you look at matchup specifically. Or they did so they had like Sheldon Cottrell was there, they had McCoy, all these people who were faster and left-hander just to give
Mm, very
variety.
true.
So I think they meshed up with the bowling lineup because to me, give 180 to Sri Lanka, it's that means their bowling totally did not perform. And I think Bravo, after like once the batsmen are set, it's very hard for them to control anything. Yeah.
Yeah, even Ocean Thomas also could have been included, right, for one or two matches if
Yes. Yes.
Ravi Rampal
Yeah.
wasn't
Correct.
performing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so a bit strange from the West Indies selectors. Hope they sort out their team immediately after 2020 World Cup and make some changes for next year because they'll have to go through a qualifiers. But talk about Sri Lankan bowling. No Lahiru Kumar yesterday. Binura Fernando picking up wickets in the first over itself, getting both Gale and Lewis out. Then Vanidu Hasaranga, number one, the 2020 ranked bowler now, getting two wickets also. About Sri Lankan's bowling yesterday, Mahish Deekshana been economical yesterday. So thoughts on the Sri Lankan bowling yesterday, Bhaskar sir?
So I think Thiksana, I think he's definitely a very good bowler because he bowls both ways, right? He's a mystery spinner,
Yeah.
very hard to pick up in that way. And I don't think he because he did not play in IPL. He's not exposed to West Indies anyway. So I think. Yeah, and Binura Fernanda, the left armer, right? So again, you see that the
Mm,
variety which you get in the T20 lineup is very important. Obviously, Chamira, we know he's a express pace bowler. So if you look at Sri Lanka, they have covered all the slots. Like they have got a mystery spinner, they've got a left armer, they've got a leg spinner, and an express pace bowler, right? And then
mm,
obviously Karuna Ratne and Shanaka are like regular bowlers, and they can go the distance as we saw.
yeah.
They went for runs. So to me, that is what the key thing is that it's not only about your performance; it's about how you build a team, how you build a bowling lineup. I think
Mm,
the good thing for Sri Lanka was that they had got like four very good bowlers, and then obviously Shanaka, Karunatne can do to give them a bit of flexibility in that way. But try to have a left arm. I think they left
yeah.
arm pace bowler. You have seen like Australia. Mitchell Stark is having it. Bolt is doing well. Even that who's that player from Namibia, right?
Yeah.
Peterman, Hoffman, whatever.
Truppelman. Yeah. Yeah.
Truffleman, he's doing well. So I think that is the line, the type of bowling with there. And if you look at India, is suffering right because they don't have a left armor in that way. So I think
Yeah,
that is the
so
combination
Bhaskar
they
sir,
should
you
go for.
think Sri Lanka made a mistake by not bringing in Binura Fernando earlier for the games against South Africa in England instead of Lahiru Kumar? Was that a tactical mistake done by Shanak and Miki Arthur over there? They could have brought in
Uh,
Binura Fernando for those two matches also.
Yes, I definitely think I'm just thinking about not the quality of bowler. Obviously, Kumara was bowling very fast, in that way, but just in terms of matchups, right? So because
Yeah.
if Chamira and Kumara are there, then there and then you have Shanaka and Karura. There's the four right arm bowlers, right? So there's
mm,
nowhere to go for them. So they don't even have a left arm spinner. So only so that's why you're seeing that it was all up to Hasaranga to do, because he was the only guy. And in T20 we know that variety works. That he was the only guy who was like kind of the thing. Sixana got injured in one of the matches in that way. So yeah, definitely I would have played Fernando or any left armer who
mm,
is good enough to play at the
mm,
start to me, just to have variety and matchups. I think matchups are very important in T20 now. We are seeing that, and people who have got things. So that if you look at England also, like I think
mm. Simon
given
Mills,
that
they had
Mills is
Simon Mills
injured,
who's
eh,
yeah,
yeah, so they've got Topley in, right? So even though they can play Mark Wood or David Villa, so you look at the amount of left arm pace bowlers they are having in their arsenal right now. Sam Curran was supposed to be there, so that is the way to go in terms of having just enough variety, and then look at playing the matchups. Yeah.
yeah, great insights over there from Baskers over
Hmm.
there. Yeah. We just spoke about the points table. Also, let's go through tomorrow's matches. I mean, sorry, today's matches. New Zealand and
Hmm.
Namibia, and India versus Scotland. Both, I think, these two. I mean, these four teams haven't played each other before. So yeah, I just want to talk about this catch also from Bhanuka Rajapaksha also for a second, because yes, that catch was brilliant because everyone was criticizing Bhanuka Rajapaksha's fielding before, and to get a catch like that in the 2020 World Cup, how good was the fielding of Sri Lanka also in the yesterday against West Indies?
Yeah, so I think this is all the impact of having a big score behind them, and we can see how it impacted. And I think Sri Lankan team, I know they dropped a few catches here and there, and I think in the qualifiers the fielding across teams were not very good. But yeah, it's,
Yeah,
quite an outstanding catch which he took. And I think overall Sri Lanka, I think they are like a young team. You know, in T20
mm,
there's always
yeah,
debate about young versus old, experience versus
mm,
this thing. But I think.
yes,
If you look at it, I think team like Pakistan or England, you know, they are the ones teams who have got the right balance of youngsters and older guys in that way, and then that's what works for the team, because you have got experience in that way. So I think Sri Lanka also, I think they can still get if Dikwela comes back, he may have a role as the wicket keeper right now, and then the
mm,
Sri Lanka has got options. I just think that they need to play better and consistent cricket and get the order, because just like we talked about left-hander. So, but I think the gap. I have not seen yesterday. Though Nissanka and they played well, I think.
mm.
They need still a maybe a bigger hitter at the top, right? Which is there, because Nissanka is kind of a regular player. Kushal Perera was supposed to do the role, but he was not able to. So maybe Perera can, if he comes into form, then their lineup will be much more sturdy. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other question is Avishka Fernando's role also. I think he is the most disappointed player. In my opinion, I think he's disappointed all of us when playing number four. He was the guy actually who was in form and who had to carry this team. But seems like Avishka Fernando is struggling in his new position at number four. So do you think that he maybe can come back to the top order and maybe Pathum Nisanga come at number four? But would that affect Pathum Nisanka's form also if he comes back to the middle order? Because he has struggled before, I mean, Nisanka when he's playing in the middle order. So, thoughts on that? I mean, can Avishka Fernando
Yeah.
come back
So
in the top order?
no,
Yeah.
so I honestly think that, you know, like the batting at the top in a T20 match is a much easier role, and the amount of options you have is much higher. So I think what every team is trying to do is getting that middle over hitter like Maxwell or something who bats after 6 overs and can do it. So I think both like they tried. Like I don't find it anything wrong in trying Fernando at number four in that way, because that is a tricky spot, right? So because they know that they can
Mm,
always find somebody who can bat at the top. So if you are not successful, I think either he has to evolve his game, or look at maybe bat lower, even lower down order in that way. But I think
yeah, sure.
most teams struggle to find that player, and I think I wouldn't hold it
Mm,
against Fernando, because it's a new role for him. He tried it
mm,
out, it did not work out, and then you just have to evolve, because I think
mm,
right now what I think is that a player like Maxwell or Morgan, or who are people who are actually doing well in that 4, 5, 6 role, they actually, if you look at it, they have a very strong reverse sweep, right? And therefore
mm,
they can play with the
yes,
field, because you need to do that. So I'm not sure whether Fernando, given that he's a conventional batsman, bats long in that way, that may not be the role for him. So it was again looking at the roles which we have got, and I'm not sure like in that way actually DDS may be a better option, like at
Hmm.
number 4. So I think because he's a more versatile player, he can play tests, he reverse sweeps also quite a lot, he can be a spinner. So again, this is my analysis is that number 4 is a tricky spot in T20 cricket, and you need like a more dynamic player there who can play a lot of shots. And I think Fernando, it will take him time to adapt to maybe he bats for that role. I don't know what position he bats in his domestic team. So
No, he opened. Usually he opens. He's
yeah,
open.
yeah. So
So
that's
for the first time he's
yeah.
been put to number 4.
Yeah, so that was not the right strategy to put and that is I think the Indian team also suffers from the same thing. Australian team also in a way, like they play Stoinis and Marsh at 5 and 6, and Stoinis and
Hmm.
Marsh always play opener in BBL,
Openers,
right?
yeah.
So their
By
record
far,
is
yeah.
so good, so that and they kind of
Hmm.
have this problem in that way. So I think this is I think the problem with T20 selection across the teams which is happening right now is that you look at your domestic league, the top run scorers are always the openers or the top three players, and then you kind of stack yourself with 5 guys who are essentially openers in your team, and then they don't know how to play that one in that way. So if there is a like if you have a good and then if all your bets are on a good start, right? So if you
Hmm.
have a good start,
Exactly.
then obviously Pant and Pandya and like whoever can come and then hit in that way. But then they are not used to like coming for the 25 for 2 and then still maintain. So then what happens is 25 for 2 or 30 for 2 they will come and they'll bat very slowly because they cannot play the natural game. And I think with Fernando also it was similar that you are not sure which game to play, right? Because at the start, you can block out an over and then kind of get like we saw with Scotland, right, hitting 5 boundaries in the power
Yes.
play. But that
Yeah.
option is not there when you do so. So they'll have to find a role player. And I think right now, whatever the Sri Lankan cricket I've seen, TDS maybe one player, Chandimal. I don't know whether he also has the capability to do it, but they will have to change the game. But this is a problem which happens that in your domestic side, you are the gun player, and because of the gun player, you play the most of the overs. But then in international side, you don't have that role. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Let's just focus on today's game as well. I think New Zealand struggled a lot, I think, against Scotland. Luckily, Martin Guptill played a crucial knock for New Zealand against Scotland. That 90 runs that he provided was crucial for New Zealand, and then good bowling from Saudi and good fielding from him as well. And Santana will come back to form. Would you change the New Zealand side for today, or would you stick with the same playing 11 for New Zealand for today's game against Namibia?
So New Zealand, I think if you look at who is not playing, so Jamieson is not playing, and then this guy was not playing, right? Who, who's the other guy who was not
Um,
this?
I think Adam Mill
So
was
let's look at
playing. I think
Seifert is
James
not playing. Yeah,
Seifert didn't play. Who
mm.
else?
Chapman.
Mark Chapman didn't play, and Todd Dastel. Yeah, those were the top 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Todd Astle. So another leg spinner which is there. So yeah, I wouldn't change too much for the in there until they want to rest and rotate. But I think they would want to go with it. This is their top lineup. I think Bolt is there. The bowling lineup looks
Saudi has to be
sorted in
there.
that way. Yeah. So
Probably
the only
Jamieson can play today for Mill, right? Mill, bit. I mean,
no
he's
no
straight away brought back to the squad. Would you drop Mill for this, or keep him
No,
in
no,
the
I
playing 11?
I would not drop Mill because Mill is this like express 140 150 bowler, right? They need that bowler. Jamison, obviously, with his height and bounce is a very key play, but I think in the pitches he's not going to be that effective in it. But I think the other change I would make it maybe do wicket keeping with Phillips and have Conway because Conway can bowl also, right? So
Hmm.
that will just give them the flexibility. In fact, like Conway was a third choice keeper, right, after Seifert and this guy
Phillips. Yeah.
Phillips, and I don't know why he's keeping for that reason because Conway
Very
can
true.
bowl a little bit here and there, so that will kind of give them. But otherwise, I think the lineup is pretty settled. I think the only thing they can shuffle around with the batting if Williamson wants to open and then Mitchell can come later. But I think they are just giving the license to Mitchell to go there. But also Mitchell did not bowl that much in the previous 2 matches, so he is an also
Hmm.
option for them. So, but I think yeah, you're right. New Zealand has got a tricky match up front. I think India also has a tricky match because the way Scotland and Namibia both performed in the last 2 matches, you cannot take them lightly, and they will be very motivated, and especially to see if they can cause upset. And I think if Namibia causes the upset, obviously will make Indian fans very happy. Maybe and
Yeah,
somebody can
true.
get a deal, and obviously if Scotland performs well, then again all the India is watching. So again, some scouts can come for, especially for Mark Watts. I think he has got he's a spinner, but so I don't think Indian IPL teams are very keen on foreign spinners. But I think he can crack PSL or even CPL quite handy. Yeah.
Yeah. And talking about Namibia, I think one player to watch, I think, is David Weiss. Obviously, New Zealand may struggle with his pace, and his batting also has been good. But Truppelman, do you think the opponents will struggle against Truppelman mostly because I mean, last match he was not that effective, but Truppelman could cause problems for Martin Guptill at times with his left arm pace bowling and his variations that he possesses. So could Namibia cause
Yes.
a problem to the top part of New Zealand today? Yeah,
Yeah, I think New Zealand has a see. New Zealand, if you look at it, they bowled all the time, right, in the net. So that is there. But if you look at
yeah,
Guptill, right, Guptill, yesterday that match, day before yesterday, his all the runs for either in between mid wicket and square leg, right. He just lines
yeah,
up these right armers or slow balls in that way. So I think Travelman will have a good chance if he has decent pace. I think Namibia. It also depends on who's batting first. I think that makes a big
mm,
difference in that way. I think if New Zealand is again batting first, then they can come under pressure. But if they bat second, then obviously the bowlers will restrict them at 125, 130, and then the pressure is not there. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, let's go through the last match. Obviously, India and Scotland. Must-win game for India, and I think they must beat Scotland 70 plus runs or 50 plus runs. I can't remember exactly if they want to qualify and depend on Afghanistan beating New Zealand by less than 9 runs, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's the scenario right now for India. But India, I think, good approach last game against Afghanistan, bringing in Rishabh Pant and Hardik Pandya 3 and 4 to finish the game and ensuring India get 210 for two in that match. So for today's match, if the openers get a good start, would you do the same thing? And also, if Varun
Yeah.
Chakrabarti is fit, another reason I think he had an eagle last match, and this is why Ashwin played. Would you bring Varun Chakrabarti back into the squad for India?
Yeah, so the first thing I think, to be really honest, even if India has a bad start, I will still bat one of them ahead of Pant, especially. I will actually bat him at four or in fact three, depending on the start, because I think we need a left-hander in the top place just to match the matchups. I would still continue to play Ashwin. Ashwin and Jadeja. I think they were playing together after 4 5 years. Yeah, 4 years. That was
Yeah.
quite a refreshing change of two finger spinners playing in that way. But then I think Ashwin has got a lot of variation and he can bowl in the power play. I think Varun Chakrabarti, I think, given that he had an eagle, and in fact, the first two matches also, obviously, we all know his history that he was not like a player who has played cricket all his life, right? He took a break of 7 8 years in the middle and then he came back to cricket. So his fitness is always going to be an issue. I think for given that Ashwin came back and performed so well, I would kind of stick with Ashwin, and I think Ashwin is a very like evolved bowler. His class is very good. So with people like Namibia and all, it will be he will have some tricks which even if he gets hit, he will kind of come up with a carom ball or or some other balls which he can trick. So I would not disturb that lineup and go for that. I will. In fact, the only change I will make is go back to Bhuvneshwar Kumar and get and drop Shardul Thakur. Yeah.
Okay. And also, I worried a bit of Kohli's form recently because he's not there, got that much opportunities. I know against Pakistan he did score a half century, and people are still questioning about Kohli's form that he's not come back to his prime and he's past his prime, and so many issues. Media, I don't know what they are causing towards Kohli and make to his family. So concerns right now for Virat Kohli's mentality right now because it's not good, right? What the Indian media is trying to attempt towards Kohli because of what he has achieved for India. And I mean, his stats also don't lie. He's very close to beating Sachin Tendulkar's records if he keeps on continuing as the most. I mean, making the most number of runs as an international cricketer. So thoughts on that? Yeah,
Yeah, I think in Indian media obviously is like they catering to a very different kind of population. Like it's the news channels. Who like they are just only shouting. So I don't know whether you follow Indian news media, but it's
I do.
it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but the thing is, they are very in sensational driven thing, and then like, and Virat Kohli is like a celebrity, so they will just make, so the day he scores a century, they will say Virat Kohli is god of this thing, and you will not believe what they say, and then it's the other way around. So I think. Most of and I think World Cup is one event, and we talked about this before also, right? That where
Yeah.
many more people who don't watch cricket at all, they watch, right? And their expectation is by default that India will win. That's one. And
Mm.
number two, if you look at it, and this is also a population who have never played sport in their life. And I'm not saying
Mm.
that playing sport uh, will actually change the thing, but the attitude is very different. They are there for the jingoistic part rather than the cricketing part. And like the logic about, and I have some friends who I talk to about, and they say that they don't get the logic about strategy, matchup. Like their default thing is that India is will win, and the reason why
Mm.
they're not winning
Exactly.
is they're not trying hard, which is like totally like bullshit. If you look at Bangladesh also, I am sure they were also trying very hard, but they still lost, right? Or Sri Lanka was trying. So for
Mm.
them, out they are very result based in that way. So like Kohli may have a dip in form. People have dip in form. He may be not having a right role. His role is an anchor role in that way. And to me, like he has not had failure, right? He just had one failure against New Zealand, right? And
Mm.
that
Mm.
failure, if you look at a very technical aspect, yes, it was the wrong shot to play because Kohli is an anchor. He's not supposed to hit
That's
the
true.
first ball after the break in that way. So if people were criticizing his shot selection at that point of view, and saying that he did not play to his role, yes, I buy that logic. And then maybe some muddled thinking and pressure would have got to him. But overall, in a
Mm.
longer scheme of things, I think obviously he's not got 100 for a long time, but he's
Yes.
already
Yes.
he's averaging very high in that way. So I am not so worried about Kohli
I
as
think
such.
his
And also
recent IPL also is could be the reason also why people are expecting Kohli to perform, come back to form. I think because he didn't deliver the title for RCB and didn't contribute much with the runs, much more than Maxwell. So I think that could be the biggest issue. I think for Kohli right now. But still, we can't compare IPL with the international cricket. Obviously, it's two different mindsets that a player has to go through. So but yeah, hopefully Kohli comes back to form. We hope that happens. But Pandya coming back to form with the bat, I think that also Kohli backed Pandya being a finisher for India, and he did a decent job against Afghanistan. So Pandya also bowled, I think, a few overs. So would you actually back Pandya to bowl his full quarter of overs if he doesn't have injury, or just let him bowl around 2 or 3 overs? Because this has been the question. Because Pandya also can be injury prone, and I think he's more of a finisher than playing as an all-rounder. So what are your thoughts on that, on Pandya's yeah, on Pandya? Yeah.
Yes, so Pandya, I think obviously he was not having a good time during IPL also. Like obviously Bombay had a very bad campaign and none of the gun players were performing. But to me, like this is too late in the day for India to make changes in that way, because who are they going to get? If you look at who's the backup? This Ishan Kishan is the only person I can see who can come
Yeah.
instead of it, because the other bowlers are Chahar and I think Bhuvneshwar and the other and Chakrabarti, right? That's the other three. So
Mm.
the only option is to get uh, Ishan
Thank
Kishan
you, sir.
instead of the thing. Which and yeah, Ishan Kishan is not a hitter at the death. Right? He's a top order batsman in that way. So I don't think India can make any changes right now. I think the only thing which India can do is that. In my view, they already have too many anchors. Similar players: Surya Kumar, Kohli, Rahul, and Sharma. Four very similar players who take time to start in that way. So I would actually play Jadeja slightly up. If Thakur is playing, maybe I'll push him slightly up. I will
Mm.
also, yeah. So I will change the batting lineup as per the situation in that way. And definitely Pandya, he should go. He's definitely, if he's the lower or hitter, then maybe get Jadeja up, or Pant. Pant should definitely come at number three in my view. Yeah, whatever happens. Yeah.
And also, who's the player that India should be worried of? I mean, for Scotland, I mean, who should India be worried about? I mean, one player or two players who can be impactful against India. Who do you think
So
could be that player for
I think
Scotland?
Watts to me is obviously is in definitely very good form. So I
Yeah,
will like Watts. I think he's not gone over, like he's going under run a ball in the
yeah,
whole tournament.
yeah.
So I
Run a
will
ball.
be
Yes, yes.
very of him, and especially he's going to bowl in the middle over where Indian teams don't score very fast. So I'll be very of him in that way. The second bowler, I think I'll be very of is Greaves, because Greaves is the leg spinner. Indians, Kohli, has a weakness against leg spinner. Sharma also is very poor at reading the googly in that way. So these are the two spinners I will be there. For the other bowlers, I think Sharif, right arm round the wicket,
Yes, yeah. Round
nothing
wicket.
major is there. So the two spinners are the two ones I'm a bit wary, especially with Watts and Greaves, because leg spinners, they once they start turning and you start you don't use your feet, and we saw how Zampa, like yesterday, like literally he could
Yeah.
have got 6 wickets. The funny incident
Mm.
of when did you see that video
Yeah,
of
yeah. In
Wade
the hat trick
dropping him?
ball. Yeah, yeah. When
Yeah,
Wade
yeah,
dropped him. Yeah, yeah. In the hat trick ball. Yeah, and Wade. I
that's
mean,
true.
Samba was furious at Wade. Yeah, the conversation. Yes, I watched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
I mean, even Greaves and what can bat also. So they are sort of all around because Greaves, I think, against Bangladesh, I think he saved Scotland actually when they were in trouble. I think 67 for 6. They brought them to a 140. That partnership between Greaves and
yeah,
Watt, so they could bat also. And
yeah. I
Richie
mean, Greece
Barrington,
can bat, right? So oh,
yeah, Richie Barrington also is a key player for them to bat. Obviously, Barrington and I think even Muncy as opener. Muncy also, I think they should
yeah,
dismiss. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean
I think
Bumrah. Yeah,
yeah, so you're right that I think you know that the with New Zealand, like the way they played, right, they really gave them a scare, and then they're really going for the shots, and both at the top and the bottom, they played very well, right. So only at the middle is they had a big problem, and that's why the New Zealand, when Saudi got that wicket of cross, and then the match totally turned in that way. So I think what Scotland has to do is that ideally, I think if Scotland can bowl first, like just like New Zealand, and just improve that template a little bit, because India, as we know, they have to go for the 70 run lead. So I think India will bat first anyways, right? So that's going to happen. They need to score
yeah.
200 runs, and then that can play into Scotland's hand.
Predictions for today. Who do you think is going to win between New Zealand and MB and England and India and Scotland? I think you'll go with the India win, obviously. I think against Scotland
Yeah,
and
so I think right now on paper, and just with the depth and the experience, it's very hard to back the this thing. So like I would think
it's
that
the first
both
time they're
matches will
playing.
be close,
Also,
and
I think both teams. Yeah. I mean, the first time I think
yeah,
New
so I
Zealand and
think
India are facing each other, and India and Scotland also facing each other. So you cannot predict much.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, no, but I think the if the weaker teams win the toss and they
mm,
bowl first, I think the gap is much lesser in that way. So it will depend on the toss, but I would think that India will be managed to scrape through. Both the teams will be able to win. Not, I would not say comfortably. Maybe 15 runs is what I'm thinking. Yeah, or 17
um,
overs type of a
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
We'll end it here, Bhaskar sir, because I have to. I'm a
Okay.
bit busy right now. Yeah, after this, yeah. So thank you
Sure.
so much,
Okay.
Bhaskar sir, for coming. Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll do a post-match analysis of
Okay.
both
Good.
these matches tomorrow. Yeah. So thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. Bye bye.
thank you so much. Thank you, Bhaskar sir. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bhaskar sir, and thank you for Rohan as well for commenting. Yeah. We'll end it over here. So thank you so much to everyone who was viewing this match. We did the post-match analysis of Sri Lanka versus West Indies and Australia versus Bangladesh, and then did the preview of New Zealand versus Namibia and India versus Scotland. So yes, tomorrow at the same time at 1 p.m. we'll be doing the post-match analysis of both these matches today. Please do subscribe to the sports breakdown. Please click the notification bell on, and yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Because the key matches tomorrow, we'll do a live watch along of England versus South Africa. Key match tomorrow, which determines the group one who's going to go through with England. So until then, see you guys, and I'll end it here.